Happy Sunday, February 23rd. I'm going to be doing your reading for the week of February 23rd, and I'll also sprinkle it with a little new moon messages. Today there's a new moon in Pisces, and the Sabian symbol for that degree is a table set for an evening meal. Now, this is quite an interesting image, but before I get into it, I'll just tell you, I'm going to pick 3 advice cards for the end. We'll lay them out here, and then we'll get into everything else. So while I'm shuffling, can I please have 3 cards face down for advice for Aries for the week of February 23rd, 2020. Now, as I was saying, that Sabian symbol, the table set for an evening meal, and what I like about it is that it isn't specified what kind of meal, right? So it's personalized. It could be a dinner party. It could be an intimate meal. It could be a business dinner, so there's lots of different shades for you to make that image your own. What it says is everything's ready, right? Table's set. Now, the only thing that has to happen is either the guest has to get there or, all right, I don't know which ones to take. I'm going to take the first ones. So the guests have to get there, you have to sit down, but what it says to me is the end of a sort of preparatory phase, which makes perfect sense because obviously Pisces is our solar 12th house. So, and that's wrapping up a cycle. It's really like, it's almost go time, right? And I imagine when the sun starts to shift into Aries, we're going to really see this sort of new phase, the dinner party or whatever dinner that we were planning actually starts to set into motion. But right now the table's all set. Everything's ready. We've done what we could have. The menu's planned. There's little Zoe in the background. The menu is planned. The table is set. There is not much left to do except, wait until the guests come and to start. So I actually really like that energy. Sorry, I'm trying to decide which card I want to start with. I think I may have forgotten one deck. No, here's the one I wanted. Sorry. Pisces, Mercury retrograde Pisces mind. I don't know about the rest of you, but it's been like forgetful, all over the place. Everybody's late with things that they're supposed to be doing. We are also, I don't know if you've read the news, but Milan is like the epicenter of Europe in the coronavirus. So schools are closed, universities are closed. Anyway, that said, despite the fact that there's all this shit going on around, I'll be honest, when I was shuffling the cards, a lot of times cards fall out while I'm shuffling, and all of the cards that I got were oddly optimistic, right? Particularly given the current climate that's going on right now. But then again, things always get darkest before the dawn. So let's see. But anyway, yeah, as I was saying, they were really unusually optimistic. Let's see if that holds true. All right, so can I get, please, the energy for the week of February 23rd, 2020 for Aries? What energy can Aries expect the week of February 20? Okay. Interesting. Insecurity. I've actually never gotten this card. Interesting. New developments. And one of the cards that fell out before was the World card. So let's read this together. I've had this deck for 5 years. I've never seen this card. So I think that's interesting. So definitely something new afoot, especially with that World card falling out together with the Sun card. Anyway, so here it says, Bob is an inventor, yet never finishes anything. How Aries is that? Always giving up on his projects, convinced they are useless. One day he finishes something and is elated until a demon appears taunting him. Oh my God, I totally get this. The demon red rainbow is comprised of our greatest fears. In a dream, Bob discovers that he can distinguish between real and imagined fears. the demon red rainbow can no longer stop him from realizing his dreams. Now listen to these inspirations here. Ready? Miraculous changes lie ahead. Life always takes a turn for the better when we face our demons. Stay on course. Trust that an ally will appear. The gift of adversity is never given without the ability to overcome it. So amazing. And I know on a personal level, this is happening to me. You know, I've been working on a project for a couple of years now, and it will be done in the next couple of weeks. And I've been so focused on getting it done that I didn't allow any of those, is this going to work? Is this a good idea? Maybe we should have just stayed in our job, blah, blah, blah. I just kept going. And now that it's done, now that it's almost here, now that my table is set, the shadows are creeping in, right? And I have been sleeping not so great and waking up from anxiety nightmares. So if any of you are having this same kind of situation, right? It's telling us, you know, yes, face your fears, but don't give them power, right? Stick with, if you built this, don't let your fears hold you back at this point, because the table is set, right? We're ready to have dinner. There's no sense at this point in saying like, oh, well, maybe I should have made salmon instead of branzino, you know? So it's not time to question. It's not time to question the steps that have led us to where we are. Now is the time to take that next step, particularly with this Aries season coming up for us. This is so important for us right now because we're wrapping up a 12-year, perhaps even some of us a much longer cycle. It is not the time to allow this to grow and to take over something that we genuinely love. So if you are in a relationship, job, whatever, that you're worried about, that you're now afraid, you see how he's closed off, afraid to open up and kind of let that love show, I would ask how much of it is real and how much of it is fear. I don't know if anybody's watching this Love is Blind on Netflix. That shit is crazy. But a lot of the times, you know, I don't want to spoil it for anyone, so I'm trying to figure out how to have this conversation. But there's a lot of times where, you know, forgetting that the experiment's insane, but there's a lot of times where people's fears end up being what blows the whole thing up, right? You can be having a perfectly lovely evening, and then all of a sudden, because you're afraid, they said one thing that triggered the demon to come up, and then you shut down, right? So be aware of those situations where you're being triggered and when that trigger closes you off, because it's actually your own mind that's doing it to you. So if it's your own mind that's doing it to you, your own mind can undo it. So this is a manageable situation, but you have to catch it. Now, let's get the challenge for the week. What challenge for Aries for the week of February 23rd? Okay, control. Interesting. This is that King of Swords again. This King of Swords kind of stalking us. So for those of you who resonated with the sort of love reading about the King of Swords, the person not being expressive, or the one who's not behaving the way you want to, or the person who is using logic over heart, this may be you, number one, and that feeds into that sort of insecurity, that your insecurity forces you into the King of Swords position. Or this may be the thing that you have to deal with. Either way, there is... The King of Swords reaction is connected to your demons, right? And is connected to the thing that feeds the insecurity. The fact that you're not hearing from that person, you start to think, oh, maybe they don't love me. Could be, maybe they're also just busy, right? So when this control, this need for control, and this person who may be controlling is the challenge that's coming up. Now let's see how that plays out here. What is the lesson for Aries for the week of... You know what else it is? I'm drawn to the hands. Sorry. You see how the hands, it's like not letting go, not releasing, not allowing. It's like, no, I'm just gonna, and this is that not four of cups, four of pentacles energy. Not allowing. And this seems to me to be the real message, especially under this Pisces, kind of fluid, that we're blocking something from coming in, and that in trying to control the situation, we're not allowing it to flow and participating in keeping it stuck where it is, right? And there was something came up in that third situation, right? That it was talking about a stalemate. And it seems to me here that the solution to this stalemate is to just open up, right? Like release the hands, undo the arms, allow experience, emotion, whatever to sort of flow through you. What's the lesson, please, for Aries for the week of February 23rd? Trusting heaven. You are safe. Angels stand close. Surrender your concerns and allow a miracle to happen. Now, you remember this card too talked about miracles unfolding. And it's interesting here because it says you're safe, because these are both about control in the face of fear. And this one talks about a demon, and this one talks about the angels. So we are summoning our demons, but the angels are really trying to keep them at bay. And so this tells me that anytime you get into this spot, to call on Archangel Michael to get you out of it. But also that your fears may be unfounded at this point. I don't want to say they are unfounded, because those blanket statements always get somebody into trouble. But it seems to me that for some of you, whatever your fears is like whatever you're worried about. Oh, that's not going to happen. Oh, it's not going to be a success. Oh, they don't love me. It's just your demon. You see how that demon is like got an umbilical cord attached to that person? That demon is all 100% you. So just as you can manifest it, you can also get rid of it. Now, can I get 2 cards, please, for the energy coming in and coming out of the week? First card for energy coming in to the week. And the second card for energy coming out of the week. Oh boy. Energy coming into it. Okay. First and second. All right, so interesting. I don't know if I should read that. This seems like it's undecided on up or down. Now, the first one we got is the wide open in reverse. And you might remember that this guy showed up a few weeks ago, asking us to be open, asking us to open up. Doesn't look like we listened because it's on its head. And then there's this storm fields here. I don't know this card either. So let's have a look. I know the word storm may make us feel uncomfortable. This too shall pass. And an uncomfortable chaos is surrounding you. Things that you've left unattended may be the cause of some conflict. And that's that digging up the 12th energy, or 12th house energy, because the 12th house is like our storage space where we keep everything we don't want to have to deal with. And so it may be that actually, in order to heal from all of these things, as the final step before the dinner comes up, that the universe is digging up our demons so that we can see them, so that they can be released and cleared away. Pent-up energy needs release, just as a storm in nature must break. For these events occur when the electricity between opposing forces stirs things up and creates temporary disorder. Not all storms are destructive. Rather, they serve nature by bringing rain to the ground and wind to the trees, enabling seeds to be widely distributed and continuous growth to be ensured. Just remember that whatever's being stirred up inside you, the demon, remember, or between you and another will benefit you later. The sun will shine again, and that was that sun card that I got before, and new growth will be observed. Don't be afraid to shake things up a little bit. Okay, so that's interesting. Let me get 3 more cards here for the middle. This seems to be a very sort of tight story, right? That we're afraid of facing something. So it looks to me like something is going to provoke one of those healing crises where we get an opportunity to see where we are the authors of our own self-sabotage. And the reminder here of Archangel Michael is that this situation is orchestrated to benefit you, but also because it's sort of, you know how it said like the wind through the trees to plant seeds, because it's planting seeds for the miracle to occur, right? It needs to dust things up because right now you're at a stalemate, and as long as energy stays fixed, nothing can move, right? So there will never be a solution as long as 2 points are in their corner. So something has to give. A third energy has to come in and move those 2 points. Otherwise, an object in motion stays in motion. Let's get 3 cards, please, for Aries for the week of February 23rd. Three cards for Aries the week of February 23rd. Oh, 3 right there. I don't know if I want to read them like this was the first. I'm going to do the other way. Okay, so this is, tradition and rules and not open for discussion, and this is how things have to be. So this is, and look at these 2 guys, right? They're pretty much the same. So there's some rigidity somewhere. Could be you, could be the other person. But this is to me that in order for things to get moving again, right? Because stalemate, kind of an energetic death, because like I said, nothing can move. So in order for things to get going again, to wake up the situation, to get things moving, there needs to be a shift in give and take, right? A shift in the balances. Almost to, now, I don't read this card as bringing things into balance, even though he is carrying the scales of justice, because you do have someone on the ground and someone there. So there is an imbalance. To me, this says that, okay, so the sentence I keep getting in my head is something's got to give, right? And so they're both receiving, you see? These guys are receiving, these guys are receiving. So someone needs to offer up something, a phone call, a gesture, in order to get to bring things out of balance, actually. So this is because in the balance is the stalemate, because this person's in their corner and their person, and that is an equally balanced situation. We're both right. And we know that, right? Because that came up in the last reading, that it's not a situation of me or you. It's right now you're dealing with whatever this standoff is. Both people, specifically from their point of views, are 100% right. Now, when we get into that situation, nothing can move, right? So at some point, someone has got to give to throw this situation out of balance, to bring it back into balance. Because right now, and that's what this storm field is, right? So almost like causing a chaos, causing a healing crisis, bringing the demons out so that they can be seen and released, letting go of trying to control the situation, and whatever happens, happens. Because otherwise, it's like I keep coming back to the idea of the table being set. It's like everything's ready, but unless, you know, the person shows up at the door, something has to happen for that next phase to begin. And right now, the stagnancy and the control and everybody's sticking to their guns and not budging is what's the problem. So it needs a little dust up. So you might find something blows through, may literally be a storm, to get these two guys moving, right? Okay. Yeah, it looks to me like it's going to cause a necessary imbalance, like force things out of the current state that they're in, which is a balance, but an unhealthy balance, to move the pieces around, to see the demons, to release the demons, to get, you know, to actually see the fears and release the fears. Because they're seeding miracles. Right? Like seeding. So something has to move. Something has to be planted elsewhere. So like it's giving birth, this whole situation, this standoff and the inevitable shakeup is allowing new things to grow. And that was that world and that sun card that came out before. Let's get a word of advice. I picked 2 decks today because we have a moon, and this is my native spirit, which I like for the moons. And then I brought out the deck that I like to use for Piscean energy. And then we'll read these 3. So can I get an advice card, please, for Aries for the week of February 23rd? Advice for Aries. See, the talking stick. Interesting. Let's read this for a sec. I like the colors on that card. Now, usually with the talking stick, it's each person gets to air their, it's like the fair way of dealing with conflict. They would sit around and pass the talking stick, and only the person who held the talking stick could speak. And everyone else had to listen. You know, so one person holding the talking stick gets to speak and the other gets to listen. But then the other person gets the same opportunity. And without the but. So to me, well, let me read it and shush. Okay, this says, speak your truth. The soul loves the truth. Communicate from your heart and share your reality without hesitation. Crowd and share from your center. This isn't the time to be shy and hesitant. It's a time to heal through communication. Interesting. You have the gift of a true leader through the way you communicate with others. Your native spirit wants you to know that during tribal council meetings, a decorated stick called a talking stick would be passed around. As each council member held the stick, he or she had the opportunity to speak from the heart. Maybe have a conversation about what your fears are instead of trying to play it off like, no, I'm so cool. Like actually open up and say, here's what I'm terrified of. The talking stick, each person in attendance would be asked to weigh carefully the words of each speaker. The talking stick reminded each person to be authentic. Communication restores trust and allows you to clarify your ideas, positions, and feelings. It can be healing when you share what has been withheld. Interesting. Now is the time to take a risk and have the courage to speak with clarity. Be forthright. Share any unspoken darkness that lays heavy in the heart. There are times to hold back and be discerning, but this isn't one of them. Even if you're afraid, declare your truth for all to hear without fear of being rejected or misunderstood. When you do this, transformation and healing can occur. Very nice. So it's really important, and with that Mercury retrograde, right, to get this card coming up under that energy. So it's really about healing communication right now. Like that's how we sort of solve this. What you see no one's talking here. Interesting. Okay, let me get the other one. Can I get an advice card, please, for Aries for the week of February 23rd? Advice, please, for Aries, the week of February 23rd. We have the Priestess. Oh, interesting. How are you being called to step up and lead? So that's the second time it talks about leaders, right? Let's read it. But that's very interesting. And you have this very powerful priestess there. Oh, let's see. I hate the decks without the... Sorry. This one's like not... This one's also not even alphabetical. It's grouped into really weird things, so it's so hard to find. 46. That's why I call it my Pisces deck. So, how are you being called to step up and lead? The Priestess is a teacher dedicated to service, freedom, and leadership. You don't need to have it all together to lead. In fact, it helps if you don't. No one wants a perfect angel who hasn't made any mistakes. Let your life be your message. Interesting. So also with this talking stick, you know, about sharing your fears, sharing your insecurities with others as a way to take a position of leadership, or as a way to also help lead the situation into a different space, or also to be a representation for others. So don't underestimate the power of sharing your story. It's by hearing someone else's journey that we feel less alone. We realize that we're actually all in this thing called life together. The difference between a follower and a leader is that a leader has the courage to go first. In stepping out, they shine a light on the path for others to venture forward too. Don't fret too much about trying to work out who is your tribe. Don't get stuck in age, income, hobbies, or occupation. The best way to discover your tribe is to look in the mirror. If you feel called to lead, chances are it's because some point in your life you longed for someone to lead you. So this is kind of like be the person you needed in that situation. And that may be in this personal stalemate. It may be in a professional situation. It may also just be in general in life. For those of you who are looking on what's my calling, right? Your tribe are longing for exactly the same thing as you were and are, and might only be one step behind you. Hell, they might even be right alongside you. You don't need anyone's permission, just the courage to stand up. Embrace your struggles, the peaks, the troughs. You don't need to know the way, just believe that there might be a different one. Interesting. That's that third solution. Remember, thinking out of the box, finding a different way of dealing with this than the duality. Your tribe is waiting for you. Step forward so they can find you. So it's very interesting, right? All of this like table set, getting ready kind of thing. Just time to let go, communicate. Communication very heavy on here. Speaking your truth, being true to yourself in a kind and loving manner. And being the person that you wish the other person would be, right? Because that's also how, you know, we can never change how anyone else behaves. We can only manage how we behave. And if we don't like the way the other person is behaving, but we're behaving the same way, you see how that's a challenge. Anyway, let's get started with these. So this one here is the Deer Spirit. So bring a gentle touch. I'll read that. That is an 18, so a 9. It's the same as this storm field. Remember, 9 energy also numerologically, the closing of a cycle, much like Pisces. So this one says there is a time to act and a time to focus your attention on patient strategizing. No, that is absolutely the wrong card. My bad. Sorry. I was reading the 9. Mercury. Okay. Here we go. Dear Spirit, the time has come to be gentle and diplomatic when dealing with others. You might have found yourself in a situation where negotiations are necessary in order to reach your goal. Be mindful of the words you choose, but do not worry. Dear Spirit reminds that you have the ability to be sure-footed and confident while showing humility and respect for others. You will find that your capacity for calm and grounded communication is heightened at this time. Follow the way of deer spirit, and you will do well, gaining the respect of others and finding common ground that is pleasing to you. Remember that understanding others and their needs will be more powerful at this time than putting your own first. If you do that, you will be rewarded tenfold. Very interesting. Let's read this one. Bobcat spirit, life is a mystery. That's an 8. Interesting. We have an 18 and an 8 there. Promise I will get the right one this time. Okay, the bobcat moves furtively and mysteriously, and when bobcat spirit appears to you, she brings a powerful reminder that not all things in life can be explained or understood through the power of intellect. Trying to figure things out, find logical explanations, or predict what will happen based on reason and facts will not provide you with the certainty and comfort you seek. Bobcat asks you to trust in the great mystery and let the secrets of the universe reveal themselves to you through direct experience. Allow your vision to slip into soft focus, and you will see between the lines and observe what has been hidden there all along. Bobcat spirit helps you know intimately the pulse of the divine in the world. Trust in the wisdom and revelations that come to you, yet know that understanding may not come as you would like it to. What you experience through your heart and intuition, which comes to you as the voice of your inner knowing, will guide you now as you accept that secrecy is woven into the fabric of existence. No matter what, the appearance of bobcat spirit is a sign that you are being called to trust, even when what is revealed does not agree with your need for intellectual certainty. Ooh, so that's kind of like that. Not getting the answer, like not going to find the answers, but trusting that you have the answer. Trusting heaven, right? Surrender your concerns. Interesting. Let's read this one. Be spirit, sweet results await. Oh, that's a 7. Interesting. 8 minus 1, 7. 8, 7. Okay, so the Bee Spirit's message is that sweet rewards are on their way if you're willing to get your ego out of the way and immerse yourself in the connected energy of all things. Bee Spirit knows not to let a sense of being a separate self get in the way of a good thing. Spirit is always producing honey. Miracles and magic are everywhere. That's the 3rd mention of miracles today. When you connect with the great hive, you are vibrating and buzzing in exquisite harmony with all. Bee Spirit asks that your focus be on connectivity. Your body, heart, soul, and psyche experience total interconnectedness and a true integration when you self-forget, when you remember that you are a part of greater unified consciousness. So interesting that this ego keeps coming up. So I guess, is the ego us? Moving from separation into connection, from self-centered limitation to spirit-centered infinite possibility and potential, you become busy as a bee, enjoying the gifts of bee spirit. Fully in alignment with your highest expression of yourself, your heart opens and creativity rushes through you seemingly without effort as you experience that nothing feels like work. Industriousness is driven by enthusiasm and inner motivation, and time seems to fly by quickly as the hive supports you in the making of honey. Do you feel the presence of your helpers in the hidden realms? Remember, those said the angels are near, adding their energy to your creations. Magical results are taking form and will be sweeter than you expect. Bee Spirit wants you to remember that your part in the divine partnership with the conscious universe is being rewarded even if you can't see that yet. Remember that dinner is getting set up. And asks that you share your good fortune as there is plenty of honey for all. Be a part of the larger whole, the force that brings forth all that is sweet and delightful. Okay, wow, that's a lot to unpack. Quite busy also visually here. So really about getting in touch with your heart, facing your demons, speaking your truth, listening also to the other person, releasing the grip on the situation, perhaps being the person or doing the thing that you wish would happen in that situation, trusting that this storm has come to actually seed newness in the situation because it's reached, it can't move. It's at an impasse. So, but also sticking, watching where, being very conscious of where our own fears are really the beginning of our own undoing, right? Where are we the cause of things not going the way we like? Where's our ego getting in the way? Where's our need to control the situation getting in the way? Where's the, no, I'm not going to call him, he better call me to apologize, so like I said, these two have such a very different energy than this one, that to me this week is really about making peace, right? Or not making peace so much as taking the step, being the first one to throw things out of balance in a positive way. And again, it said it may not, work out the way you expect it, but right now we're sort of at a standstill, and we gotta get moving because there's stuff to do. Aries season's gonna be on us soon. That dinner party's ready for us. We can't stay in stagnant situations. It's not healthy. So talk, speak your truth, listen, open with an open heart, open your own heart up and say what's really on your mind, and let the waters sort of wash over what's going on in a good and a bad sense. The water makes everything new, and we are in Pisces season. So there's that. I think I'm going to call that the title of the video. Anyway, thanks for watching, and I will see you next time. Take care.